Welcome into the Friday edition of the 14. I'm your host, Chris Lee. Blake Lovell with me today. As always, Blake, the NCAA tournament is underway. We're doing this Friday morning. We'll try to make some hasty bracket picks just to get that out there. But we had the first four last night and some interesting games in that one for sure.
Yep, we did lots of good games too. I think I want to say all the games were decided by 8 points or less. I believe that's right. We had two 1-point games, I think, and then you had UCLA and Michigan State, which was just fantastic to kind of finish things off. So yeah, hopefully that's a sign of things to come for this tournament because, man, there were a lot of good games and, an overtime game to finish it up there. So,
did you see the end of the Drake game?
Yeah, that was wild.
That was crazy. And if our listening audience didn't see it, Drake has literally not won an NCAA tournament game 50 years to the date of the Thursday night game.
Yeah.
And that's not a program that gets the tournament off. And I think the last time it was there was 2008. If I recall correctly, that was the year Drake was just really good and I think won the Missouri Valley. And so getting to the tournament is not a regular event for that school. And then it plays Wichita State, which used to be in the Missouri Valley. I believe Wichita State had a 12-game winning streak against Drake. So Drake is up 4 points. Wichita State misses a shot with 24, 25 seconds left. There's a scramble for the ball. Drake's got it and going up the floor to basically get the clinching layup or to start running out the clock and get fouled or whatever. Somehow the ball pops loose in the backcourt. Wichita State grabs it. Guy runs down and makes a long three-pointer to bring Wichita State to within one with, I think, 8 seconds left. No, 5. Or it was 8, and then they foul after the inbounds. That runs off 3 seconds. So Drake is up 1 at the foul line, and Drake misses the foul shot. So you're just going, oh, man, you just feel for the fan base right now. But Wichita State comes down, and with some time to spare, jacked up about, I don't know, a 30, 35-foot three-pointer that hit the front rim. So that was one of those that you're feeling for the Drake fans as you're watching it because, like, they've got it, and then all of a sudden the sequence of events is about to rip it away from them, but they hold on at the end after Wichita misses a shot.
Yep, you're also feeling for the people that had Drake minus 2.5, and that wasn't me. That wasn't me or anything, but yeah, that was one where he hits both free throws. There you go. So
it's a good thing that wasn't you.
Yeah, it's a good thing that wasn't me. It's a good thing I wasn't the person that waited until the line got to 2.5 and took it in instead of when Wichita State was a favorite earlier in the day. So,
oh wow, it swung that much.
Yeah, it was a big swing. But that's boy, the betting life in the NCAA tournament. What a roller coaster that is. So,
well, and I went to bed last night. UCLA, Michigan State, I thought Michigan State's got this in the bag. It was up 15. I call you this morning and say, who won the game? And find out things had taken a turn.
Yeah, quite a comeback for UCLA. It looked like for a while there that Michigan State was just going to handle them. It was a much more high-scoring game than I thought it would be. Of course, it did go to overtime, but I still thought this would be sort of a rock fight, as we said, which we saw a lot of rock fights yesterday. I think those first 3 games were all kind of in that category in terms of really low-scoring games. I think that could be something we see maybe play out. The teams can score. We'll be able to do that, but I'm curious. We always look at these tournament games and see how they play out. It can take a little while sometimes for things to get going with that. So, it was quite a start to the tournament, and I think now for the SEC, you've got 2 SEC teams leading things off: Florida and Virginia Tech, and then Arkansas and Colgate. That's something where people have pointed out the stat before. If you're one of those teams that plays in the early game and the very first day of the first round, you are prone to being an upset team. And so I'm very curious to see how some of these teams handle it in that early window here on Friday.
Let's get into the bracket. We'll start with the Gonzaga Regional. The West. Okay, there's the name. I think this is the West, but I'm not seeing
it.
It is
the Gonzaga
West.
region. I mean, it's their
right.
region. So
yes, let's do this. Okay, tell me any first round game where you have a lower seed winning in this bracket.
Let's see. This is one where, I I've considered, I think UC Santa Barbara is your best bet here as the number 12 over the 5, Creighton. UC Santa Barbara, very experienced. Of course, I do the Big West for Blue Ribbon, and that was the team we really high on coming into the season. Picked them to win it, and they did. And just a very experienced group. They've got guys that have played together before. I think UCSB is a team to look out. Ohio with Jason Preston, which you'll know his name after you watch the game against Virginia. I don't know that I'm as in on that one as an upset. I've kind of done my research on a lot of these teams, and believe it or not, teams in terms of being potential upset victims, Virginia's a little bit further down on the list than some of these others, and we'll get to the one here in a second that surprisingly is at the top when I do some of my research I've done. But I think UCSB over Creighton is your best bet here. I don't really look at any of those others and feel very strongly about them.
Yeah, I had looked at Ohio as an upset special, but didn't pick the Bobcats. By the way, really like Jason Preston. Great story, that kid on that team. Look that one up if you've got some time. But Virginia shoots 81% from the line. And, oh, by the way, did win this event the last time it was played, which I think probably matters for something. I'll tell you another thing I did look up. I went back to the AP preseason top 25 because that can be a predictor a good bit of the time. And Virginia was number 4 preseason. So maybe the Cavs underachieved based on expectations a little bit, but very talented team. I'm with you. I did pick Missouri over Oklahoma. I was going to go Oklahoma, and then the injury issue at Oklahoma popped up. So we both have got chalk except for Missouri and UCSB in our first round.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right to me.
Okay, I went Gonzaga, Virginia, USC, Iowa on my Sweet 16 there.
I've got the Zags. I've got Virginia. I've got USC as well, and I've got Oregon beating Iowa.
Okay, I thought about that. I looked at it. I don't remember why I didn't do it. I'm not. I don't feel like I'm really high on the Pac-12. Although I'm going to contradict myself.
I'm not either, and that's what surprises me. Yeah, because I have a lot of those teams going far, and I'm not really high on the Pac-12 at all. So yeah.
Well, and I had Gonzaga and USC in the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I've got the Zags and Oregon. So yeah.
Yeah, and with Gonzaga advancing.
Yes.
So
agreed.
Let's go to the bottom half there. That's the East. Tell me who you had where you didn't go chalk in the first round.
Well, this is a tough one because I think they're pretty much all ones you could go chalk on, but I talked about it. I tell you, what a great guide. Veasan, of course, Brent Musburger, he's the one that started all that out in Vegas, and Greg Peterson, someone who just does a terrific job, covering all the games from a betting standpoint and such. They put together a tournament guide. And you want to know the team that's at the very top in terms of the teams that share the statistical traits of the upset victim. So the team that can get upset, if you look back through all the historical stats, everything like that, there are I think there's 5 teams at the top with the same score. The team at the very top is Texas. So that I find a little bit interesting because Abilene Christian can shoot the ball really well. They're number 1 in the country in forcing turnovers. That is one I would keep my eye on. Beyond that, I think I would probably maybe look at UCLA over BYU just after the way UCLA finished that game last night. Other than that, I don't really see any.
Yeah, I was going to go Michigan State over BYU in the second round, but I didn't after UCLA won that game. So I don't know. This is my picks here are very boring because I think they're pretty much all favorites, except when you get to the Elite Eight. I've got Florida State knocking off Michigan, so I've got Alabama and Florida State in the Elite Eight. And my inclination has been Florida State a lot of the week, but I went Alabama there to the Final Four.
Yeah, this is getting tougher for me. I've got Michigan, Florida State, with the caveat that if the good LSU shows up, I think they can beat Michigan. But I've got Florida State in the Elite Eight. At the bottom, I've got Alabama too, but I tell you, this is another one that I found in this guide that Veasan does, and it's, again, looking at other stats too, kind of supports it, but UConn is one of their 5 teams they think could sort of have the traits of Cinderella's when you look at the past history and all the different stats. UConn's one of those teams that they kind of see as that Cinderella-type team here, and that's what worries me a little bit. And we said it yesterday. If you're an Alabama fan, I'm probably rooting for Maryland, which of course you got to take care of business first against Iona, but that's an interesting matchup. So I'm going to stick with Alabama. I think their path beyond that, I like the way they would match up with a team like Texas. But that UConn one, that's a tricky second round game. But I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to take Alabama to the Final Four. I just think at their best, they're probably the team that I can see making it out of this region.
You know why I didn't go with Abilene, and I did think about that one against Texas. They're 157 in offensive efficiency,
Yeah.
and I like a team to be able to score with a little bit more regularity than that.
And they get a lot of their they use the turnovers force to get easy offense, whereas if you make them actually play offense, they're not as good. So
yeah, and I don't know if the turnovers are going to be as easy to come by
Yeah.
in the against Texas as they are in the Southland. So yeah, I also considered LSU Michigan, but that's the thing where you pick a bracket and you're going, well, I could see this team beating this team, but this team's also so inconsistent, it might not be in the spot to do that.
Yeah.
And so that's one reason I didn't pull the trigger on LSU. I just I struggle with picking them to beat St. Bonaventure anyway. So
yeah.
As you kind of get down the line, you get a little nervous when you have a team that you don't entirely trust to win 2 or 3 games. And so for LSU, that's kind of the thing. So you had Florida State in the Elite Eight also?
Yeah, Alabama, Florida State
Okay.
with Bama in the Final Four. Yep.
All right, let's go to the South. Upsets I have Winthrop knocking off Purdue. By the way, Purdue, look at Ken Palm's experience. I think they're like in the 320s. So that's a little scary. I mean, plus Winthrop lost 1 game all year. I know it didn't play anybody, but that's a really good team. Other than that, I went chalk on everything. Wisconsin, North Carolina is one that I gave some thought to. Wisconsin, never a team that anybody's big on, but always seems to win a game or two in March, if not more. But how did you see that one?
Yeah, I've got Winthrop over Villanova too. I think that's the one that I would look at, and certainly with the Colin Gillespie thing, it's almost one of those that seems almost too good to be true now. But when you actually just look at the matchup, like it's there, and I think it's a good setup for Winthrop. I still think I'm probably going to take Virginia Tech over Florida, which I know won't make Florida fans happy, but I think that game is just such a toss-up. Like, when you just look at it, I have no idea kind of how that game plays out, but for some reason I'm leaning towards Virginia Tech. I don't know. I just think that's the one I would lean towards. I'm a little curious about Texas Tech, Utah State, and I'm really, really curious. I almost want to go out on the limb here and say it. I think Oral Roberts is going to give Ohio State all they can handle. If you just look at the numbers, Ohio State is not a good defensive team, and Oral Roberts can shoot it. I think when you look at their free throw percentage, like, they have sort of that recipe of things that you want to see from a team that could potentially pull off that massive upset. They're the best free throw shooting team in the field. They're a top 10, top 11 3-point shooting team. They don't turn the ball over. I mean, they rely a lot on the three, and that's the one thing you look at in a game like this, to where if they're not hitting shots, they could get blown out of the gym. But I don't know. I think that Oral Roberts, Kyle Young's out for Ohio State. I think that's one to really keep an eye on, because that one is a lot more interesting than just the seed line suggests. I don't know. There's just something about that game that I'm kind of looking at and saying, if Oral Roberts kind of gets off to a hot start and makes a couple threes early, Ohio State's defense is not great, and I wonder a little bit about that one. So,
yeah, the one that I struggled with too was Utah State and Texas Tech, and eventually I went. There was something in the matchup I didn't like for Utah State. I don't remember what it was, but that was one I thought about. Ohio State. That's interesting because I think that I don't think they lose to Oral Roberts, although you brought up some good points as to why, right? But then with Ohio State, I'm not crazy about Florida or Virginia Tech there on the second line. Now, Arkansas, I think Arkansas handles them, gets the Elite Eight. I've got Arkansas and Baylor there. By the way, I had Winthrop to the Sweet 16. I had them knocking off Villanova and Purdue. So did you have Baylor, Arkansas in your Elite Eight?
Yeah, that's what I've got too. But I tell you, I like this Purdue team, which that, could be the one that means that North Texas is going to upset them in the first round. But I think this Purdue team, if they get that matchup with Baylor, I could see Purdue giving Baylor some issues. But I like Arkansas's path. I just think that they are in a good spot. And like you said, for some reason I'm sensing some sort of chaos with Florida, Virginia Tech, Ohio State, Oral Roberts down there, and maybe we don't see the 2 seed Ohio State coming out of that part. So I think I'm going to go Baylor, Arkansas too. But I don't know, something about Purdue's kind of speaking to me as well with the whole home field advantage, if you will, with playing in Indianapolis and all those sorts of things. So.
So we have 5 of the 6 same Elite Eight teams so far.
Yes.
The difference being USC and Oregon.
Yep.
Wow. This was not planned. I had no idea what you were picking.
Yep, that's right.
And by the way, my brackets are always terrible.
I was going to say.
Take what I say and do the opposite.
Right.
Midwest, I've got, let's see. Yeah, I was really creative here too. I had chalk the whole way in the first round. I did go second round. I've actually got San Diego State and Illinois in the Elite Eight.
Look at this. Look at this. So do I. I've got Illinois, San Diego State in my Elite Eight. So
yeah. So wow, that's crazy.
We're really setting people up for failure here. So
yeah, I mean, I have Clemson winning the first round against Rutgers. For some reason, I toyed with the idea of picking Clemson over Houston, just one of those nobody sees this coming, and I think Clemson's a little better than it gets credit for.
That's the rock fight region. At the bottom.
Yeah, it is. My 7-year-old son, by the way, has Clemson in his Final Four.
Oh, look at that! Well,
so
that's got to mean that's got to count for something. So
I think it does count for something. I think my son might get football and basketball a little confused at times.
Yeah, that's all right.
Anyway, so wow, so you also have Illinois and San Diego State. I presume you have Illinois to the Final Four.
Yeah, I've got Illinois in the Final Four. I think if we look at potential upsets in this region, I think Morehead State over West Virginia is one I would really look at as a potential one. I don't feel as strongly about Oregon State over Tennessee. I think actually, I keep going back to this VEASAN guide because it's just so good. Like for $20, this thing is just packed with historical stats and everything, which I love. Tennessee's actually a team that sort of is much higher than you would think in terms of teams that are kind of shared traits of Final Four teams. Tennessee is like, I want to say they're 6th on the list, which is pretty incredible when you think about it. So when you kind of compare Tennessee to an Oregon State team that just got a little bit hot at the right time, I don't know. And I think also Oklahoma State's one of those teams, the more I look at them, I don't know. I know Liberty's going to be outmatched in terms of just personnel-wise, but I think Liberty could frustrate them a little bit. So that part gets a little more interesting to me the more I study it. But I've got Illinois and Oklahoma State, Sweet 16, and I've got San Diego State and Houston, and then like you said, I've got Illinois going to the Final Four.
Yeah, same one I've got. I did think about Liberty because of that pack line.
Yeah,
but Cade Cunningham is kind of the code cracker on all that because there just isn't really another one of him.
Yeah.
I don't know that Liberty, certain things transcend others, and I don't know that Liberty's ever seen a kid like that. I've said this many times. That 8-team grouping is incredible. I wish the committee had done something different, sent a couple teams other places. Loyola Chicago, Illinois in the second round could be a doozy. Illinois and Oklahoma State in the Sweet 16. I think that'll be the game that everybody has their eyes on if that's what happens.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun, and that worries me a little bit about picking Illinois to get to the Final Four, but because they do have, I think, the strongest bracket in terms of the road to get there. I think it's going to be really tough, but I don't know. I think that they're just really good, and I mean, obviously they've got 2 of the best players in this thing. So I don't know. I just feel like they're going to be able to lean on that and make a run here to the Final Four.
Gonzaga over Illinois in the final?
That's what I got. So there you go. We really creative here, but I've got the Zags over Illinois. And, I did consider picking Illinois to win it all because I said this before, but I just don't think that there's another team in this tournament, and I've seen other people mention it, but when Gonzaga wants to take it to another gear, I don't think there's anyone else that has that gear that they can take it to. And so look, I think they've got, I don't want to say a cakewalk because that's, I'm going to doom them if I say that, but they have got a pretty favorable path, I think, to get to the Final Four here. I just think they match up so well with every single team they're going to face. And look, if they play Virginia, if they play Iowa, they've already played those 2 teams before this season. So if that's the matchup they get, I still think that they are setting up in a good position. But I would love to see the Zags in Alabama. Like I know that's for some people maybe that doesn't feel like an intriguing matchup, but I think just the way those two teams play, that would be so fun if that is the Final Four matchup we get. But you know what? I also think this. I think there's going to be some chaos in this tournament, just given the circumstances, given the atmosphere, everything going on. I really think we could see a lot of a lot of chaos here.
What have we had, like 1 or 2 years where it just wasn't a lot of chaos? I mean, when was the year that we had? Didn't we have all 4 ones in the Final Four?
Was that 08 maybe? Memphis, UCLA, Kansas. I'm forgetting somebody. North Carolina.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe?
there's been 1 or 2 years. Every once in a blue moon, it's really boring.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, that wasn't what we
I don't
get
think
excited
this
about every
be.
year. But
yeah.
Well, I mean, you never can pick these things. Like, here's what happens every year. Some team makes the Elite Eight that I didn't even give a second thought to that team losing a first-round game, and that's what makes this fun. There's going to be some team in this that slips in the Elite Eight or the Final Four or the Sweet 16 that we didn't even give 2 seconds of time on the podcast this week. But that's why we love it, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that if you find some of those teams, like we said, that we don't really sort of think about, that I could see kind of potentially being in that spot to be able to maybe make that run further than we think. I think Loyola Chicago, like they're the one that I think completely destroy brackets. I really think they could challenge Illinois. And then I look at, we kind of mentioned San Diego State. I think they're one as a 6 that I don't like playing Syracuse as an 11 for anyone because we've seen what they can do at that spot before. But I think San Diego State's really good. And then the other one, as I mentioned, UConn. I hate to say it for Alabama, but if UConn gets past Maryland, that's a good UConn team. And maybe they're the team we're talking about having that run. So I'm sure I've officially set in the nerves in Tuscaloosa at this point. But don't worry, as long as you come out and take care of your business against Iona, I think the tide will be okay.
Well, the thing that jumped off the page about San Diego State, of course, they would have been, a 1 seed a year ago, if I recall, had the tournament been played. 15 in experience. I did not realize they had that much back. I mean, even they had a lot of players back, but I'm looking at tournament teams. I'm looking on Ken Palm's experience chart. Georgia Tech is 4 nationally. These are just teams in the tournament. Texas Southern actually 5. I didn't realize that either. Then you go down the list. You get to Missouri at 11, North Texas at 13, and there comes San Diego State at 15. So if you lean on experience as a predictor in this thing, those are the teams to watch.
They are the team to me, I think, that's sort of the total package. Like, if you look at their numbers, there is not anything that they are just so terrible at that you just completely stands out. And they have the experience, like you said. They're coming off a season where they got a lot of guys back who are used to winning games. And, I mean, they haven't lost since January 16th. Like, we talk about the Zags being hot, some of these other teams, but they are on a roll. And so I don't love that Syracuse matchup, knowing you're going to play a bit of a different style with Syracuse, but I just don't think the Syracuse team, again, a lot of people made the argument they shouldn't have been in the field, but I feel like if San Diego State gets going, they could be a team to watch here.
All right. Any other basketball-related thoughts?
No, that's about it. Should be fun. Just a lot of exciting basketball on tap here. And I know we've got a little NIT action going on too. I don't think a lot of people will be focused on that necessarily, but some NIT action set to take place. Ole Miss, I think, plays tonight. Does Mississippi State also play tonight? Probably, I assume. I could be wrong. I can't say that I've looked at it too much, but so it should be a fun evening of basketball, fun weekend of basketball, and you think actually Mississippi State plays tomorrow, not today. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I like having it. It's different now in terms of the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, but I actually kind of like how it sets up in the tournament. So.
Yeah, Mississippi State and St. Louis is Saturday. Dayton and Memphis also Saturday in the NIT. Tonight we've got Buffalo, Colorado State, and Louisiana Tech, Ole Miss. Talk about anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Playing an NIT game literally while everybody else is watching the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, not ideal, but
That's one where if you're on that beat, you're just hating life that night.
yeah, it's probably not the highest rated games, I would think, but we'll see how it turns out.
Well, SEC baseball also tonight, and our man Barry really jinxed A&M last night. They got clocked by
Yeah, I
Florida.
saw that. Yeah.
So anyway, Barry had a write-up about that on the site. All right, Blake, we will be doing one of these again very soon, probably Monday. Who knows? We may do a special edition over the weekend if the mood strikes us. But lots to watch this weekend, lots to talk about when we do this again, and I can't wait to see what happens.
Yep, you can check out everything, like you said, southeastern14.com. If you want the baseball preview for the weekend, we did that with Barry on Thursday's episode, so you can go back, listen to that. And yeah, should be a lot of fun. So check that out there. If you're listening to this, the tournament's probably already started. But our bracket challenge, we got a lot of good entries, so we'll see who comes out on top in our bracket challenge as well.
All right, he's Blake Lovell. I'm Chris Lee. Thank you for listening to the 14. We'll see you again on Monday.